Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Relationship Atlas podcast. I'm your host, Coach Atlas, and today I want to talk about safety, trust, and integrity in relationships. This is going to come up in a lot of episodes, but today I want to point out two really simple examples, one from a past version of our relationship and one that just happened yesterday, that I think air really well to the necessity of safety and trust through integrity in a relationship is, but also how quickly I, as a man, have the power to deteriorate that based on my actions or based on my lack of action. So, if you don't understand how important safety is in a relationship, well, that's our starting ground. Nothing is really able to grow, flourish, or work well without safety. An example is I commit to being with you and only you. That would be something that would create safety because then what I know is you're not out rummaging the town with your genitals, right? You're here with me and you're committed to me, right? Marriage often creates that lock, if you will, of safety, not lock of lack of freedom, a lock of safety. I feel safe now. You're committed to me. That's what marriage often helps us with. But outside of that, safety is also physical, right? I know you won't hit me. I know you won't abuse me. I know you won't go beat up the next person that pisses you off. I feel safe in the physical world of our relationship. I know if somebody opens the door and tries to rob us, I know you got us. I know you'll protect us. I ask you to sleep door side because I know you'll protect us. So that's safety, right? Emotional safety is a space where both of you can share your emotions without it being attacked, without it being minimized, without it being demoralized, gaslitten, right? Emotional safety is I have the space here to share my emotions in a safe environment. That would be emotional safety, right? Psychological safety would also be involved in this conversation where I am free to be my authentic self. I am free to share my thoughts and opinions, and that will be accepted or at least acknowledged as value or as worth. And who I am as a person won't be rejected because of it. Psychological safety, right, in my mind. So, multiple layers of safety. In that is following through on the things that we've committed to doing. That also creates a level of safety, right? So, safety often can be looked at as acting in accordance with who you say you are. Acting outside of that creates unsafety, whether it's in a macro, big moment, or a small micro moment. And so, here is an example from a past version of our relationship where I got in the way unknowingly of my partner feeling safe and trusting in me. And it's a really simple and it's a funny example to reflect on because it's this micro moment that really blasted me into this world of, oh, wait a second. There's more to this than I thought. So we had this routine where I would cook dinner and she would shower. She'd shower, come out, dinner would be ready, we'd eat together. Okay, that was our routine, that was our system. What ended up happening was I would one day I cooked dinner, but I would get distracted. Right. So then what would happen is I would overcook dinner. She'd come out, we'd start eating, and she'd say, "Oh, the burgers are a little burnt." I'm like, "Oh, man, I know. I'm so sorry. I got distracted. My bad." No problem. We move on. The next day, I'm cooking dinner again. Things are going well. I get distracted again. My phone, sports, a show, whatever. I overcook dinner again. She comes out, we start eating, and she acknowledges, "Oh, hey, I don't want to be a pain, but like the burgers are they're a little dry." And I would say, shit, I'm sorry. That's absolutely my bad. Right. And now there's almost a guilt and shame, turning into shame conversation in my own head as I'm falling short on this. Now, unfortunately, shame doesn't drive action. Shame just withdraws. So it didn't necessarily change anything. So sure enough, the next time I cooked dinner, I overcooked it again. And I wasn't really acknowledging the impact of this. What I knew is that I was repairing it, right? I would say, hey, listen, I apologize. Sorry for overcooking dinner. My bad. I'd own up to the fact that I fell short. But what I wasn't doing was creating a new scenario next time, right? So I was missing a piece of repair. So sure enough, one day I'm cooking dinner. She comes out of the shower quicker than she usually does and flips the burgers for me. And it's such a micro moment, but in that moment, I remember feeling visceral anger, just this volatile explosion in my body. And I didn't know what to do with it, but I just remember saying, hey, whoa, what are you doing? And we got into this conflict about overcooked burgers, overcooked dinner. And it was bigger than it needed to be, but also incredibly important because once we were able to reground the conversation, because it wasn't a lovely one, once we were able to reground the conversation and have some solid dialogue, the truth came out, which was her telling me, I don't trust you to cook dinner. Oof, just a dagger to my soul. And the reason it was a dagger is because what I heard her say was, I don't trust you. I took it as a character hit. And so I got defensive again. And eventually we got through the conversation where I had to really just acknowledge the reality of the fact that I am not showing you on a consistent basis that I can take care of this. Ergo, her body does not then feel settled when she is somewhere else while I'm cooking dinner. When I'm cooking dinner, she isn't unsettled. There is an anxiety about it. There's a worry about it. There's a fear about it. There's a tension in her body that says, I don't really know if I can just simply rely on dinner being cooked. So I better just make sure that's taken care of. Or I might say, hey, are you all over the burgers? I now need to keep up with you. I have to take on a mental load to ensure that this gets done as you have promised it will be. So now there's a bit of this, I don't want to call it nagging because that's not what it is, but it's simply a search for trust and safety. That's all it is. That example in and of itself should theoretically explode itself all over your relationship. Because what I hope that does for you, as it did for me, is it started to help me see my behavior in the micro ways and how that was impacting the overall safety my partner was experiencing. Because now it was about other ways in which I maybe wasn't following through or I wasn't consistently following through. And what that was then asking of her, what I was putting on her unintentionally. Now, if you're a man listening to this and you're having a difficult time understanding how she could feel that way, we have a different conversation we need to have. And I'm going to call you forward because right now it's very likely your ego is getting in the way of understanding that your intention means so much less than the impact of your behavior. So go back to the episode I talked about, and it's called I Didn't Intend for That to Happen, or something along those lines. That's an entire episode given to that conversation. So if you really want to change that dynamic and you really want to know how to impact your relationship in regards to safety, start there. Now, I'm not saying I took that conversation well, and I'm not saying that I appreciated being told that she doesn't trust me to cook dinner. And like I said, we got into a heated argument about it. I didn't handle it well. But it was important for me to not handle it well because anytime I feel like that volatility, that tenseness, that visceral experience in my body, there is so much for me to learn in that. There is so much being shown to me. Not something for me to fight against, something for me to look deeper into, right? There's a group I'm a part of that phrases it really well. They said, emotions are indicators, not dictators. So once I stop letting the emotion dictate, I can start to understand what it's indicating. Back to the conversation. in order for her to trust or settle into trust, it will require me to follow through on what I've said I've done consistently over time. Right? Not one time, consistently over time. And I use the example of, 4 to 5 times this happened, this whole dinner situation, because I could have been longer, but what I do know is that all it takes is a couple of times for her system to acknowledge this is not fully safe. Because again, she's looking for the consistency in behavior, consistency in who you say you'll be, consistency in showing up that way. My partner recently said to me, she's like, I know you got it because I know who you are. Jesus. I know you got it because I know who you are. Oof. Oof. Powerful. That is the goal. To show up consistently enough to prove results enough consistently to create that trust and that safety for her to settle into so that I don't, as a person or as a behavioral aspect, get questioned on what I'm missing or why I'm not, or what's happening here. I feel anxious about it and so on. So that is an incredible example of safety in a relational dynamic built on the foundation of integrity. Okay. Here's the second example. This just happened yesterday. And this is a less direct example. This was something I came to in my own mind. A couple of weeks ago, I committed to going to a men's group, a men's gathering. The plan was for it to be outside. Super excited, felt good, but the weather turned. And it turned out to be rainy, but the men's group said, hey, we're men. Little rain won't hurt us. And I said, fair enough. Challenge accepted. But then as the day went on, I noticed that my emotional state wasn't super active. I was a little tired. I was lethargic, but I was still getting things done. But I didn't want to do above and beyond. And I felt frustrated at having to go above and beyond in this group. And so I was about to leave, and I remember telling her, I'm like, man, I really don't want to go to this. And she's like, yeah, that makes sense. And I remember just being faced with this dilemma of like, should I go? Should I not go? Should I go? Should I not go? As I was leaving, I walked down the hall to the elevator and I got a text that said, hey, weather is actually turning. There's no shelter like we thought there was going to be. So it's going to be at my place. That changed the timeline of how far this was away. So I went back into the house and said, okay, I got about 10 minutes. Day's been a rush. I'm just going to settle down for 10 minutes before I leave. And for that entire 10 minutes, I was like, should I go? Should I not go? Should I go? Should I not go? I don't really want to go. There's a really exciting hockey game on. Sure enough, it was a really exciting hockey game. And I just want to watch that. I just want to do nothing and I want to watch this. And this battle goes on for those 10 minutes. Finally, I think it was about 6 o'clock. I get up and I said, okay, shut your mouth. Let's go. So I get up and I start moving my body and I start getting ready. And I eventually left and made my way over there. And I was thinking about the entire time on the way there, I was thinking about the impact decisions like that have on how my partner experiences me and the safety and sanctity of our relationship. Because here's what happened. I committed to doing something, not for us, for myself. And when it came time to follow through on that, I became all of a sudden in question. Should I? I don't know. Is it worth it? I feel too tired. I'm too lazy, or it's okay. So I missed this, whatever. All these excuses came up. But again, I committed to doing this. And so what my partner knew, because it was in the calendar, I committed to doing this. So what does it say to her about me when I say my emotional state will drive my decisions? Meaning, I don't really feel like it, so I'm not going to go. How does my partner experience that? I never asked her, she likely whoa, she likely experiences it as, he may not follow through on things for himself. Kind of makes me wonder if he's always going to follow through on things for us. It makes me curious around if he will show up in this relationship even when he's not feeling like it. What will he do then? And all of a sudden, by not going, I would then have unintentionally created an impact of unsafety and a lack of trust. Micro moment, right? Micro moment. But there's a conversation alive in here for men specifically, but also for women to receive. Men, we have a duty. We have a responsibility. If you are interpreting that responsibility as a burden, we have bigger problems here. But I understand, not because I'm better or worse, or because I get it or don't, because that's not true. I'm still figuring it out. That when I show up for things that are difficult, when I don't feel like it, I am not only teaching myself that I can do hard things, but I am showing my partner that I am resilient in the face of difficulty. And that helps her experience me in a safe way and settles her system. So now she is less worried about the things that I do or don't do, because what she knows is that I will always hold my own level of integrity to the highest degree. Take that in. That's what allows her to say things like, I know you got it because I know who you are. And she knows who I am because that's who I've shown her I am, not because it's who I've told her I am. I went. It was a great time. I really enjoyed it. I was very grateful I went. And when I came home, I expressed that. I was really happy I went. I had a really good time. And I'm grateful for the things that I took away. I'd love to talk to you about it. Let's chat through some of these things. And now, because I followed through on things for myself, I'm continuing to show her who I am and continuing to reinforce her trust and safety in me. There's a little piece in here that I want to close with because this was big for me. In a relational dynamic, asking ourselves the question, is this my partner or is this my parent, is a huge one. Because when I don't follow through consistently, when I'm not showing up in the ways I say I am, when I almost require her without knowing to check in and to bother about, to make sure that it gets done, all these things, what I'm saying is, hey, I'm not quite ready to be in a partnership because I'm still trying to heal parts of my childhood through you. Could you be my parent for a little bit here? Could you hold me accountable here? Because no one held me accountable earlier, and I want to see if you'll parent me the way I need to. Meaning, there's a little version of me alive here that I don't have a great relationship with, or that I don't really know exists yet, but I know that I need a parent here. I don't need a partner. I'm not looking for a partner. So I'm going to show up inconsistently to hopefully get parent attention, not partner attention. Interesting conversation. An example of this quickly for me is when I used to sleep in a lot. I would sleep in until the point where she would then, my partner, come and say, hey, I think it's time to get up. Whoa, I'm a little embarrassed to actually admit that. That's hilarious. I can feel that in my body. I would sleep in. She'd eventually come in and say, hey, time to wake up. And I would do this so often until I realized that I was asking her to be my mother in those moments. Because that's what my mom did. That's what I did when I was a kid. That's what I did when I was a teenager. Sleep, sleep, sleep until somebody got me up. Sure enough, it was my mom. So I was repeating a pattern. My partner then became my parent. And if we have to be our partner's parent, we do not have a foundation of safety and trust through integrity. We don't have it. So this is why a lot of the relational work is self-work, but it is self-work because it's been reflected through our relationship. This is the power of relationship, that so much is reflected to us for us to take care of, or for us to honor, or for us to heal, or for us to face, or for us to grow through, evolve through, whether that be individually or sometimes relationally. But the relationship is the catalyst, right? I could sleep in every day, all day if I wasn't with her, and then I'd get up eventually, right? But because I'm in this dynamic, it's different. Now I'm healing through my relationship, which is generally the highest form of healing, right? Because it's relational, it's through people. That's what we're meant to do. So, what are we finishing with here today? What we're finishing here with is an understanding on the surface level, but also edging into the deeper levels of safety in a relationship, trust in a relationship through integrity. Now, this is going to lead us eventually into a conversation about a post I recently made, which said that men, your woman really wants to feel safe in your leadership, but she won't feel safe in your leadership if you're not leading yourself. Some of that has already been aired to here in this conversation. So take what you think applies there. But in this conversation, what we're creating here is equal amounts on both sides of the conversation of safety and trust. Right? A lot of what we can consider safety is up to the man. I would agree with that. But there's also a safety that's provided by the woman or provided by the other partner. And so it's important that not only are we requesting a safe space, but that we are being a safe space. It's important that if we're asking for integrity, we're giving integrity. If we're asking for trust, we're giving trust. What we request and what we crave are the things that we also need to offer and honor. So I'll close there. Powerful episode. Thank you for listening. This is one of many coming down. I appreciate everything that you have been a part of so far. We're 80 plus downloads now, which is so exciting. Thank you so much for that. If you like this episode, please subscribe, please share. It's a potent one. It really should dig into some good concepts in your relational dynamic, just spark some really powerful conversations. That's the hope. Now you have some applicable, one of the two, things to take on, meaning take a quick reflection of the actions that you're going through in your relationship and notice where you're inconsistent, and then acknowledge the reality of what that does to the safety of your relationship. Not because you're good or bad or right or wrong, that no shame here. It's simply the reality of your impact on the relationship. Consider what that is, and then start making a plan on what it looks like to bridge that gap so that lack of safety is no longer present. The more safe of a foundation we can build, everything becomes easier. And I mean literally everything, all the way through from communication to sex. Safety is the foundation of it all. So start building that together, have that conversation. Men, if you're listening to this, lead that, step forward, step in, be courageous. Hey, listen, I just did some reflection the other day and I recognized that when I cook dinner, I always overcook it. And I have a feeling that that creates a lack of trust for me in you. And I want to make sure that you feel safe in what I'm up to. So I'm going to commit to making sure I don't get distracted, and I'm going to cook dinner the way that it needs to be done moving forward. Right? Lean in, fill the gaps. That's all. Thanks for listening. You're the best. Excited to continue this journey with you. I hope this impacts your relationship in even the smallest positive way. I know we got this. Relationships can be hard, but they are as easy as we make them. Thanks for listening. Have an amazing day.